and welcome back to Get Messy. I'm your host, Maddie, and today I am so excited to chat with Alex Weber. I think Alex and I booked this interview at the end of August, and we had it at the beginning of November. So I have been excited for months to be able to chat with Alex. Alex was an actor and a host, and he is now an author, a coach, and a motivational speaker. Him and I met many, many years ago when we were both signed with the same voiceover agency, and he is now a high-level executive coach and a motivational speaker to crowds of thousands of people at some of the biggest companies that you know. I was really curious to see how Alex made this transition into what he's doing now. And also, I wanted to pick his brain on the concepts of fear and motivation. We talked about the importance of following one's deep passions rather than surface level interests and the role of grit and determination in achieving success. Alex shared insights on his holistic approach to success and themes like clarity of goals, the influence of one's social circle, and dealing with setbacks. I don't want to give too much away because I want you to hear it all in Alex's words. I'm so impressed and inspired by what he's been able to accomplish so far, and I have a feeling this is just the tip of the iceberg. So without further ado, please welcome the wonderful Alex Weber. We also had some tech issues and we weren't able to record this podcast in the traditional way I typically do. So if things are a little fuzzy or a little off, my apologies. Thank you so much, Alex, for doing this. I'm going to be respectful of your time and I'm down to just get into it if you are.
Cool. Well, good to see you. And
Good to
yeah,
see you
appreciate you thinking of
too.
me for this. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had fun digging into your website and your socials, and I follow you on socials, but it was cool to get like a full gambit of your last year, kind of putting
I
together
appreciate that.
questions for this. And so you and I met a long time ago, back when we
Yeah.
were both actors at
Yeah.
our agency, DPN. You
Yeah.
also kindly said yes to hosting a stand-up comedy show that I put together, which was atrocious. You were great. The show was not. But now you wrote a book, you're coaching high-level executives, you're speaking to crowds of thousands. How did this pivot from a career in the entertainment industry as an actor and a host transform into what you're doing now?
Yeah, I so appreciate that. And, always think fondly on the DPN waiting rooms, that entire team
Yes.
communicated great. And when I've gotten asked this before, I always say chapters, because I do love the Steve Jobs quote of you can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backwards. And to me, what has always made the most sense, and there's chapters of life and we graduate and all of that, but what's made the most sense is just whatever I am deeply most passionate about. Not like, oh, this intrigues me or I'm a little curious about this, but something that I've poked around, I've explored, and my answer has been yes, I really, really care about this. I want to do this. I want to be this, whatever that is. When I've listened to that answer and then given everything I have to, which we can unpack because there's a lot to us as people doing that, that's always resulted in great things. And so for me, those chapters were really sports, lacrosse, player, and as a coach, and then doing acting, and then finding my way to TV hosting and stand-up comedy, and then American Ninja Warrior, which is an incredible experience, and then listening again to what do I feel most passionate about, called to do, and that was this work. And so really it was listening to that, and then part two, giving everything you got to it. And that wasn't turnkey. Like that was very gritty as I got going with it. I would talk to anybody I could. I'd literally say, hey, you've got a nonprofit. Can I come talk? Hey, can I come to your university? Hey, can I come to your company? And then in the beginning, my first opportunities were like that. And then just like everything, you get better at it. You hopefully start doing well, and that creates momentum and you grow. Yeah, so that's
And
been
then
my
here we are.
journey over the last however many years. And now I don't take it for granted. I feel so fortunate to join and speak for companies that I admire, that I go to. It's definitely been a gift.
I think you even talking about that, Alex, like asking yourself, what is it that I'm so excited about or so passionate about? And I think a lot of people I know, they might not describe it as motivational speaking, but they may say, I have a message that I want to
Yeah.
share. I maybe
Yeah.
even want to share it with more people than just my
Yeah.
mom or my partner. I want to share it with the
Yeah.
masses, but it's like they don't trust
their words to hold enough
Sure.
validity or meaning to be heard so they don't act on it. What fear or obstacles did you have to break through to gain the courage to use your words to impact change in others?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's our own emotions or ego that usually gets in the way. We're probably wanting to do this, whatever that is. People will go to a stand-up show and say, I've always wanted to do this. Or,
Mhm.
I want to learn the guitar, I realize. Whatever that is, but I think even more practically in our lives, you want to step into a new opportunity in work where you want to improve a relationship. And I think usually what happens is we either don't go for it because things are okay enough. They're pretty good enough that we don't really need to go for it. So sometimes when people crash and burn and have a low moment, that's actually okay if we use it because it's so pivotal that if we use it as like a reflection and inflection, it can actually lead to really great things. It's when things are pretty okay, pretty good, that can be dangerous because we don't really feel like we need to ask that question of what does great look like? What do I really want to be? Who do I really want to connect with? Or what does my life look
Yeah.
like? And then if we do, part two is that initial feedback. So say whatever that is, you want to start going into a leadership role, but you pitch an idea in a meeting and it gets shot down. Or you do want to get your health and wellness on track. So you sign up for a class, you go, and it's brutal. You're
Mhm.
sweating from places you didn't know you could sweat from.
Yeah.
And I think the immediate trap is, well, that's done. That's done. And if we just gift ourselves a period of gritty growing, of getting better, then we'll get to whatever we want to get to. But usually we start to care too much about what the people around us are thinking about us, or
Mhm.
we're too brutal with ourselves that we don't do those steps.
I was listening to something on your Instagram recently, and you were talking about how important the people around us are because
Mhm.
their interpretation of what we're doing and how
Yeah.
they communicate that to us can totally make or break how we go after or don't go after the things that we want.
Yeah.
And my husband and I just started working with a nutritionist, and she's like, we call it embrace the suck.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
like, you
Yeah.
got to embrace the suck, and
Yeah.
then it gets really good after that.
Oh, yeah. I absolutely agree with that. And I think, one is letting people, know around you that this is something you're going to go for or that you want to do. And to also be mindful of that because sometimes you'll tell someone, but if they don't see it in you, they might shoot it down. And
Hmm.
if you value their opinion, you might shoot it down when really you might have just told the wrong person too early. And maybe what you could do is either be mindful of who you share it with or, get a census. You can tell a few people. And the fact is that some people are going to believe in you that you can do this. Some people aren't. But usually people sometimes closest to us or sometimes who have known us for the longest have the most trouble seeing us if we want to do something new or different or evolve. They see us in that old chapter.
Right.
So you got to be mindful and to also understand that. Understand that maybe if you tell a friend or even a family member that you're doing this thing, they might believe in it or they might not. And
Yeah.
that's still okay. If it matters to you, you got to just take the steps.
And that's a perfect segue into you talk a lot about the awareness that we only have so many heartbeats on this earth. And
Yeah.
what are we going to do with these heartbeats? A lot of people have these mega big dreams and goals, and they feel halted. They hesitate in their pursuit of these goals. Something's stopping them.
Yeah.
What could someone do in that position to start addressing those obstacles and take the steps forward that they need to?
I would just say get clear. In the book, I talk about goals die in the ambiguity. If you're just like, oh, I don't know why it's not happening. Yeah, you don't know why it's not happening. But really, that's our own emotions being protected. Because if we really looked at our lives, we're going to decide, okay, it's not happening because I don't have time. It's not happening because I don't know how or I don't know where to go. It's not happening because I don't actually believe in myself enough that this could work out. If we get really bravely honest, we're going to figure out what is really the stop sign. And then all of those things are workable. If this matters to you, we will find the time. We will, because it'll come
Yeah.
from something that doesn't matter as much. Same with the resources. And the belief can grow. But I just think the easier out is I don't know why it's not happening, but if we do get clear on it, we can find a way.
Ooh, the ambiguity. I needed to hear that one. That was like a personal one to me right now. That was good. You talk about going all in. What does
Mhm.
going all in mean to you or look like to you?
To me, it's the only thing that's ever really made sense. And what it means to me is I'm going to show up. I'm going to bring all of myself to this. I'm going to bring my fears. I'm going to bring my doubts. I'm going to bring my imperfections and whatever level I am now at. And I'm going to commit all of my focus, all of my energy and effort, and all of my belief. I'm going to choose to believe that this could work out, and I'm going to keep going at it. And anytime I've done that, really great things have happened. One, it eliminates regret, because how could you, if you're giving everything you have, it might not work out perfectly, but that's not going to keep you up at night because at least you gave it everything you had. When we hold ourselves back, that's what causes a lot of pain. And then also, I have a lot of belief in us as people that we can figure things out. So whatever that is, I pursued a lot of different things from comedy to American Ninja Warrior to books and all. If you show up, you start to talk to people, you start to learn things, you improve. That, there's no secret science. You do it, you learn, you get better. But really where we stop in that journey is it's not perfect. I don't want to do this anymore. And so I just think we have to have a lot of clarity around, if this matters to you, show up and give it everything you have continuously. Like give it a runway. And I also think I have a lot of friends who are all into optimization. I know AI is all that is great. And I view it as like gas on the fire, but I get really fired up about this. I think what gets lost is that's gasoline on the fire. But at some point, you got to go in the woods and you got to grab a rusty axe and you got to chop at a tree for a while and you got to bring back limbs and tree branches and you got to make a fire. And I think that gritty, hands-on, I'm going to move this through the finish line. That's what's helped me achieve anything in my life. And then when I've layered on the performance hacks and the tools and the tactics, then it's gotten easier and better. But I think the trap is so often right now, we want to outsource the hard work to something else.
Yeah.
It's a shortcut. It's a hack. And that's going to be, in my eyes, it's going to be temporary success. And it's also going to breed these blind spots that we don't even realize the danger of it.
And it's probably by the time we do, it's like, holy crap. Like, I can't even believe that these are here.
Yeah.
You talk to so many people, Alex, and I'm sure people come up to you sometimes and are like, Alex, I went all in. I have been consistent. I have tried. And you mentioned like it doesn't always lead to the result you think it's going to. And sometimes that is painful too. Is like, I feel like I've showed up, I've done the gritty work. Someone says that to you and they're trying to evaluate what's next for them. How can you help them sort through that they didn't arrive where they wanted to and they're trying to figure out the clear steps for what's next?
Yeah, I mean, I think one is really being clear on, have you truly given it your best? And if you have, then there's some reflection points. How I view it though is it's like this laser, like you're putting this in to the world. And as we do that, it's going to break open all these different things. It's going to break open relationships and opportunities and growth within ourselves, abilities and character growth. So the rewards are there. It might not be exactly what you envisioned, but it's going to lead to good things. But I think it's important to not be delusional. So let's say you were like, I want to be the world's best singer. I've never done it before, but I want to go after it. And you do, and we're not great at it. We're not great at it. And listen, we keep learning and we keep getting better, but there comes a point where we're like, I don't know if I'm going to make it to Madison Square Garden and all that. But if it was something that you loved, probably in that journey, it's either gotten to a place where it's in your life now and you love it. Maybe it's unlocked an opportunity where you're a part of a community, a singers group or a band. Maybe you're instructing people or teaching people. And maybe those skills of confidence and using your voice and all that are helping you in other things. So my point is, you don't know the goal. You don't know if you're going to get it or not, but you also might get all of these a canvas of other benefits simply by honoring what you wanted to do anyways.
I feel like that's perfectly aligned with the Steve Jobs quote, which I love too. Like, you can't connect the dots looking forward, looking back. So in that pursuit, looking back, you're like, okay, I didn't arrive where I necessarily thought I wanted to, but I have all these other things that connect. You've done so many things, Alex, like you said, stand up and acting in American Ninja Warrior, writing books, talking to people. In everything, how has your definition of success changed over time?
Ooh, it's a great question. I think in a few ways, I think it's become more holistic. From very early on in my life, I had a set goal and I was going for it and I did it. And I think after you do some of those, you are so pumped about it and also realize there's a lot of life. So I think my life lens is much more holistic now, where I want to continue to achieve high, ambitious professional goals and personal ones. A family, a loving family. And I often, what good is it to win the world and lose your soul? My intention now is, I think it would be one of the most misguided things if I were to sacrifice relationships that matter to me for things out in the world. And so I think it's just become more holistic now, in that I want to do great professionally and I want to do my best with the people that I love as well.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
last two questions. That was great. And I think you and I are, similar ages. It's funny how I've been with DPN for 10 years this week, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where I started and where I am now, and like the things that I prioritize, I'm like, very different.
Yeah.
22-year-old Maddie.
Yeah.
So the podcast is called Get Messy. You seem,
I love it.
I say this, like, you accomplish a lot. And I feel like people who accomplish a lot, you feel like they have it all put together. What's the messiest thing about you?
Oh my goodness. How much time you got? I'm wearing like board shorts right now. I would say one thing that I've had to continually get better at is organization. I think, like, more practically, I've always been so excited to just go and do the thing that I would probably be the person who would want to, like, cook up the big meal and then there's a ton of dishes and all that. I'm just like, well, let's do the next thing, And so
Yeah.
I would say that's probably the messiest thing about me. And, it kind of goes to what you asked earlier, because I also realized, my first maybe 5-8 years pursuing all this stuff, I remember my first apartment in Los Angeles was a mess.
Yeah.
What I was saying to myself was, if it's not immediately productive to my goals, it doesn't matter. And that was like the mindset that I had. So doing laundry, doing this, and I think it's taken me more time to realize the people that I admire the most and see as successful, they're not hurried and they're not frantic. They're very poised and they're very intentional. They know what matters. They make clear decisions. They go after it. It's not frayed and frantic. And I think what's been one of the best journeys over my last however long, 8 years, I don't know, is that of switching from trying to do everything in a little more frantic energy
Yeah.
to just what matters. Let's focus on that and let's do well at that.
You described, the welcome to the entertainment industry, chaotic, frantic, everything's urgent. I'm like, this
Yeah.
is not life or death. Like, we are
Yeah.
going, this
Yeah.
is an audition. Like, we can take a breath. So I relate so hard to
100%.
that and trying to be more intentional and aligned. What are you excited about next, personally and professionally?
Oh gosh. Well, my wife and I, Jessica, we've been married for, I don't know when this will come out, but about 14 months right now.
Yeah.
So love that to pieces and just really want to pour into that, into the holistic success, as you and I talked about. And, I'm kind of exploring what that looks like for 2026, about writing another book, or what that looks like to just go pedal down. And I think I even have, you're kind of lighting a fire in me of, I've thought about reigniting the podcast. I do. And I think as I'm sharing some of this, I think it's motivating me to maybe get back to that as well.
I think you should. You know what, Alex, I will say, because again, we haven't seen each other in a long time. So much of it is so good. And like what it is that you share, because I looked at a lot of your different podcast clips. So if that's what you got out of today, I think that's huge. I will take that as a win for our conversation.
That means so much.
Yeah. There's an intentionality in what you share and why you share it. And I think your fire and passion and excitement comes through, and that empowers a lot of people. I think so. And it makes so much sense to me why you're having the success that you are. And I'm going to put everything in the show notes, but where can people come hang out with you and find more of you?
And I truly appreciate that so much. So Alex Weber, 1B in Weber. I'm Alex Weber on all of the different platforms. And yeah, we'd just love to connect with people more.
Awesome. Sounds good, Alex. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're the real hero if you've made it this far. Thanks so much for hanging out today, and check out the show notes for any resources or cool info mentioned in today's episode, or places to follow along if you want to hang out some more. I'm rooting for you today and always. Stay messy.